Yes, this world is limited. We accept that. This world is limited and therefore dependent. We accept that. And we even accept that it needs something else to help it to exist. But how do we know that this world did not come from something else, that also came from something else, which also came from something else? In other words, A came from B, and B came from C, and C came from D, and D came from E, and it continues like this infinitely. There is a problem. There is a problem here with this argument. If we imagine a chain of soldiers, and every soldier in this chain wants to fire a gunshot, but he cannot fire a gunshot before the soldier before him fires. In other words, every soldier in the chain is dependent upon the soldier before him. If we start with the last soldier in the chain, he cannot fire because he is waiting for the soldier before him to fire, who is also waiting for the soldier before him, who is also waiting for the soldier before him. And it continues like this infinitely. Since the chain continues infinitely, then everyone is also waiting infinitely. Because the soldier will always be waiting for the one before him. And it does not end. Therefore, no one ever shoots. In other words, the gunshot does not exist, or it will never exist. But if someone shoots, or someone shot, then it means that there was one soldier who did not wait for anyone else. He was not dependent on anyone else, and he did not need anyone else. Then all the soldiers after him shoot. So there has to be one soldier who started all this, who was not dependent on anything else, so that all the other soldiers can shoot as well. The reality of this world is that we are here, and we think, and we speak. Therefore, there had to be someone who was independent and not limited, and did not need anyone to start all of this. The one who started all this has to be independent and not limited, because if he was limited, then he has to depend on the one before him, who also has to depend on the one before him, and we return all the way to the beginning into a circle. The reality of this world necessitates this reasoning. The same way that the reality of the cup of water necessitates that someone filled it and someone has placed it on the table. This is where we return back to the question and answer. It is impossible to have an infinite chain of dependencies, because if that was the case, then nothing would ever exist. Because nothing will ever be able to begin. So there has to be a being that is independent and unlimited, that starts everything, and who does not depend on anything. It is also impossible, and this is important, it is impossible to see this being, because if you could see this being, then it means he is limited and therefore dependent, which would mean that there has to be someone before him. And then we fall back into the same infinite chain. For mankind to accept this reality, he has to first accept that he himself, mankind, is limited. We do not need to see the person to be certain that the glass of water does not move by itself? Because the glass of water is incapable. For the same reason, it is impossible. It is impossible to have more than one supreme being. Because a being that is independent and unlimited does not need another being to help him, or he would be limited. And if we think a bit more about it, we would realize that something that is infinite would not leave space for anything else and would superimpose everything else. And those who do mathematics, I think, would appreciate this. Mankind can reach this conclusion, but this is where his limits end. He cannot say anything else. All our five senses are limited, and something that is limited cannot contain something that is unlimited. What do I mean? It is impossible to fill a limited box with the universe that is much, much bigger. But this does not give an excuse to the box to refuse the existence of the universe. So we can say, by using the information that is available to mankind and the information that is available to our senses, say that the reality of this world necessitates a creator. But we cannot say anything else, because we do not have any other information. We cannot describe how is this creator, because we cannot perceive him directly. We can only perceive the results in front of us, like the result of the glass of water on the table, or the result of the hole through the window. And that is all. And the only way to know more is to have more information, or it would just be fictional and fabrications. For example, the person who filled the glass of water left a note and said that I, Mr. Such and Such, has left this glass of water for Mr. Such and Such. But that is a different discussion. For now, all I'm saying is that this person exists, but we do not know who he is. But if we were to find a note saying who he is, then we would know. It is not possible to leave a message that says that the creator is limited or dependent. It is also important to remind everyone that the veracity or the falseness of a message is a separate discussion and has nothing to do with the discussion about the existence of the creator that has its own proper arguments. We do not prove things by showing that the other is false or wrong. For example, in front of the judge, I do not prove that I am innocent just because I show that my cousin is worse than me. An atheist cannot prove that atheism is correct just because another religion is wrong. He also cannot say that God does not exist simply because a religion that he does not like or that he has proven to himself to be wrong mentions God. In the same manner, we cannot say that science that was discovered by Mr. Such and Such is all wrong just because he is an atheist, or just because simply he said something that was wrong. And we have proven to ourselves that atheism is wrong. No, everything has its own argument. To each issue, its own discussion. Everything is separated.